There's something rare and deeply misunderstood about a man who keeps his circle small, walks through life with few friends. Society often paints this picture of success and belonging as one filled with crowds, popularity, and endless connections. But let me tell you something. True strength, true security is not measured by the number of people who stand beside you, but by the quiet power you hold within. A man who chooses solitude or a limited circle of trusted allies isn't lonely, he's deliberate. He's not weak, he's confident. Such a man doesn't seek validation from the noise of the crowd because his purpose speaks louder. Now let's talk about what makes a man with no friends, or just a few, a fortress of unwavering security. Let's break down the power of being selective, focused, and secure in the life you build, even when the world doesn't understand it. True strength lies in solitude because it takes an unshakable sense of self to stand alone. When a man embraces solitude, he is not running from the world, he is running toward his own truth. Solitude demands that he confront his inner thoughts, his fears, and his doubts without distraction or interference. It is in those quiet moments that he learns who he truly is, stripped of the expectations and judgments of others. In solitude, he finds his resilience, for there is no crowd to prop him up, no chorus of voices to validate his work. A man who is comfortable in solitude understands that the world outside may be chaotic, noisy, and full of fleeting connections, but within himself lies a sanctuary that no one can take away. Solitude isn't isolation. It's an intentional choice to focus on growth, reflection, and inner peace. It allows a man to build his mental, emotional, and spiritual foundations without relying on the approval or presence of others. In solitude, he becomes his own counselor, his own motivator, his own guide. He doesn't need a crowd to feel seen, nor does he need affirmation to know his value. This strength in solitude is not born overnight. It comes from the discipline of sitting with discomfort and transforming it into clarity. It's about standing firm in the face of loneliness and using it as a tool for empowerment. Solitude becomes the forge where character is tested, where patience is cultivated, and where the man discovers the unshakable strength that comes from depending solely on himself. In that space, he is free from the noise of the world and can hear the voice of his own intuition guiding him forward. Focused vision over distractions is a hallmark of a secure man, one who understands the immense value of clarity and purpose. When a man narrows his circle or chooses to walk alone, he removes unnecessary noise from his life, allowing his focus to sharpen on what truly matters. Distractions are everywhere in the form of superficial relationships, fleeting trends, and endless demands for attention. But a man with a focused vision knows how to sift through the clutter and keep his eyes locked on his goals. He doesn't chase every opportunity or cater to every invitation because he recognizes that his energy is finite, and where he places it will determine the course of his life. This kind of focus isn't about shutting out the world completely, but about choosing intentionally what deserves his time and what doesn't. A man who values his vision understands that distractions can derail even the best laid plans. He's not afraid to say no, not afraid to turn down the distractions that offer momentary pleasure but add nothing to his purpose. Every decision he makes is weighed against a measure of whether it aligns with the bigger picture he's working to create. In his solitude in a small circle, he finds the freedom to think deeply, to strategize, and to move deliberately. He understands that the crowd often moves aimlessly, distracted by the latest trends or drama, while his path requires discipline and precision. Focused vision allows him to channel his energy into pursuits that bring lasting fulfillment and align with his core values. He's not pulled in 100 directions because he has chosen a singular path, one that reflects his priorities and his calling. And this man doesn't seek validation for his choices because his success is measured by his own standards, not by the fleeting applause of others. His vision is not just a goal, but a lifestyle. a way of navigating the world with intention and purpose. Each step he takes is deliberate, and every action serves a purpose larger than himself. With fewer distractions, he is able to see clearly what lies ahead, anticipate obstacles, and navigate challenges with unwavering determination. Quality over quantity in relationships is a principle that a secure man not only understands, but lives by. He knows that it is not the number of people in his life that defines his worth, but the depth and authenticity of the connections he chooses to nurture. A man with this mindset is not interested in shallow interactions or fleeting acquaintanceships that serve no real purpose. Instead, he invests his time and energy into relationships that are meaningful, enriching, and built on mutual respect and understanding. For him, friendships and partnerships are not about filling a void or keeping up appearances. They are about growth, support, and shared values. When a man values quality over quantity, he sets a higher standard for the people he allows into his inner circle. He seeks out individuals who inspire him, challenge him to be better, and share a common vision for life. These are the people who add substance to his journey, who celebrate his successes without envy and offer strength in moments of difficulty without judgment. Such relationships are built on trust, not convenience, on loyalty, not obligation. They are rare, but their impact is profound, providing a foundation of stability and a source of encouragement as he navigates life's complexities. This preference for quality also means he is unafraid to let go of relationships that no longer serve him. He doesn't cling to toxic connections out of fear of loneliness, nor does he entertain superficial friendships simply to avoid confrontation. He understands that every relationship he holds on to requires energy, and he is intentional about where he invests that energy. By focusing on quality, he frees himself from the emotional drain of one-sided or unhealthy dynamics and instead creates space for bonds that truly matter. In this confronting world, we often face destructive bonds because we're too busy fighting each other. Quality relationships thrive on open communication, shared respect, and a willingness to give as much as one receives. These are the relationships that stand the test of time, not because they are easy, but because they are built on a foundation of authenticity and mutual effort. A man who values quality over quantity doesn't measure his success by the size of his network, but by the depth of the connections that sustain him. This mindset allows him to experience relationships that are not only fulfilling, but also transformative, pushing him toward greater self-awareness and personal growth. And the idea that relationships can change you even hurts the feelings of feelings. Resilience against peer pressure is a defining trait of a man who is secure in himself and his principles. He understands that true strength lies in standing firm in his beliefs, even when the world around him demands conformity. Peer pressure, with its relentless pull to fit in, to follow the crowd, to abandon one's individuality for the sake of acceptance, holds no power over a man who knows who he is and what he stands for. He is not swayed by the opinions of others or the fear of judgment, because his sense of self is not tied to external validation. Instead, it is rooted in his values, his goals, and his unyielding commitment to living authentically. This resilience does not come without challenges. The weight of peer pressure can be heavy, especially when it comes from friends, family, or colleagues. But a secure man is willing to bear that weight because he understands the cost of giving in. He knows that compromising his integrity or abandoning his vision for the sake of approval is a price too high to pay. It is important that your friends and family understand your trajectory as a price too high to pay. He sees peer pressure for what it is, a fleeting test of character, a momentary challenge that offers an opportunity to grow stronger, more confident, and more self-assured. Resisting peer pressure requires courage, and courage is something this man has cultivated over time. He has faced moments of doubt, times when standing alone felt isolating, and he has chosen to persevere anyway. Each time he says no to something that doesn't align with his values, he reinforces his inner strength. He becomes a man who can be relied upon, not just by others, but by himself. Originally, Jennifer, being one of the lead players on the show, has shown everyone her strength and determination, her patience, her love for her work. He knows that his decisions are his own, made with clarity and intention, rather than dictated by the shifting expectations of those around him. This resilience also reflects his independence of thought. He is not afraid to question the status quo, to challenge norms, or to forge his own path, even if it means going against the grain. He recognizes that many of the greatest achievements, the most meaningful lives, are built by those who dare to be different. Peer pressure loses its grip on a man who understands that individuality is not a weakness, but a strength. A testament to his ability to think critically and act decisively. He embraces the discomfort of being misunderstood, knowing that the path to greatness is rarely crowded, and the road to authenticity is often one walked alone. Jack Nolte, embracing self-awareness is a transformative journey, one that allows a man to stand firmly in his truth and navigate the complexities of life with clarity and purpose. It is not about perfection, but about understanding, knowing who he is at his core, what drives him, and how his actions align with his values. A man who embraces self-awareness is unafraid to confront his strengths and weaknesses, to examine the patterns of his behavior, and to take responsibility for his growth. Looking around, he views self-awareness as a lifelong commitment, a process of peeling back the layers of his identity to discover the essence of his true self. This journey requires introspection, the willingness to look inward and ask the tough questions. It involves moments of discomfort as he acknowledges areas where he may have fallen short or allowed fear, ego, or insecurity to guide his decisions. But rather than running from these truths, he faces them head on, using them as opportunities to learn and evolve. Instead of feeling weak or resentful, clearly he takes the time to reflect and work hard to grow, store, and evolve. Colonel Duke, he becomes attuned to his emotions, recognizing their role as indicators of deeper thoughts and beliefs, and he develops the emotional intelligence to respond rather than react. Through this process, he builds a solid foundation of self-trust, knowing that he can rely on his intuition and judgment in even the most uncertain circumstances. Embracing self-awareness also empowers a man to align his actions with his aspirations. He no longer feels the need to conform to external expectations or seek approval from others, because his validation comes from within. He becomes intentional in how he spends his time, the goals he pursues, and the relationships he cultivates, ensuring that each choice reflects his authentic self. Not only does making the right choice ensure his financial security, this clarity of purpose allows him to move through life with confidence, undeterred by distractions or the noise of others' opinions. A self-aware man is also deeply reflective, taking time to pause and evaluate the impact of his actions on himself and those around him. He listens not just to others, but to his own inner voice, the quiet guide that often holds the answers he seeks. This practice of listening helps him to course correct when necessary, to adapt without losing sight of his core values, and to grow in wisdom and compassion. Self-awareness equips him to lead with humility and authenticity, recognizing that his journey is not about perfection, but about progress. Controlled energy and influence are the hallmarks of a man who understands the immense power he holds within himself and wields it with purpose and discipline. Such a man does not scatter his energy recklessly, or allow it to be drained by trivial matters or meaningless distractions. Instead, he channels it deliberately, focusing on what truly matters and what aligns with his greater purpose. He recognizes that energy, both physical and emotional, is a finite resource and must be guarded, nurtured, and applied strategically to create meaningful impact. This control begins with an awareness of his own emotions and reactions. He does not allow himself to be provoked into impulsive actions or unproductive arguments. When faced with challenges or conflicts, he maintains his composure, refusing to be drawn into chaos or negativity. This emotional discipline not only preserves his energy, but also enhances his influence, as people are drawn to the calm, grounded presence of a man who remains steady under pressure. Others look to him for guidance and inspiration, sensing the quiet confidence that emanates from his ability to remain in control of himself and his environment. He is truly a force of representation, encouraging a sense of belonging. His influence is not loud or domineering. It is subtle yet profound. It comes from the way he carries himself, the integrity of his actions, and the consistency of his character. He leads not by force, but by example, showing others what is possible through his own determination, focus, and resilience. He does not seek validation or recognition, for his energy is not spent on proving himself to others. Instead, he works diligently, often behind the scenes, letting the results of his efforts speak for themselves. This understated approach makes his influence even more powerful, as it is rooted in authenticity and respect rather than authority or ego. Controlled energy also means knowing when to act and when to step back, when to push forward and when to conserve resources for a better opportunity. It is the discipline to pace himself, avoiding burnout by prioritizing rest, reflection, and renewal. This balance allows him to operate at his full potential, maintaining the stamina needed for long-term success. The desperation to feel like you have no control. He understands that control is not about suppression, but about direction, guiding his energy toward constructive and meaningful pursuits. In relationships, his influence is marked by intentionality and respect. He does not manipulate or overpower. Instead, he listens, supports, and empowers those around him. His presence is felt deeply, not because he demands attention, but because he earns it through his actions and his unwavering sense of purpose. People are drawn to the quiet strength he exudes, knowing that his words and decisions are grounded in thoughtfulness and sincerity. In a world that often values noise, superficiality, and the size of one's circle, there is profound strength in embracing solitude, self-awareness, and intentionality. A man with no friends or a very small circle is not isolated by circumstance, but by choice. A choice rooted in security, clarity, and the pursuit of true purpose. He understands that his energy is sacred, his time is finite, and his influence is built not on quantity, but on quality. This man has discovered the power of solitude to refine his vision, the resilience to stand firm against external pressures, and the wisdom to prioritize depth over breadth in his relationships. He is not defined by the approval of others, but by the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who he is and what he stands for. His focus is sharp, his energy is controlled, and his impact is undeniable. Such a life is not without its challenges, but it is marked by authenticity and fulfillment. In choosing to walk this path, he becomes a beacon of strength, a leader of quiet influence, and a testament to the power of living intentionally and purposefully.